Hey everybody, this is Pat Jennings from thebizseller.com, and in this video we're going to discuss two of the more surprising facts about very highly qualified business buyers. But first, we need to start off by discussing the reality of business buyers in general. And the first thing you need to know and always keep in your mind is that 90% of the people who inquire about buying a business, they call a broker, they respond to a business for sale ad, 90% of those people never buy anything. Now, I don't say this to discourage you, because there are ways that you can distinguish the 10% from the 90%. And ultimately, if you're a for sale by owner seller, that is job number one. After you find a pool of prospects, it's to quickly and decisively distinguish the 10% who can buy from the 90% who can't, won't, or don't ever buy a business. Now, the good news is that even if only 10% of the people out there who say they want to own a business wind up buying a business, that still leaves plenty of qualified prospects. That's more than enough. After all, you only need one. But even if you have 4 or 5 good prospects, which shouldn't be too hard to find, that gives you enough good quality, serious people to work with. So we want to focus on identifying who are the good quality, serious people. So here are two things that you need to know about that special 10% who actually do buy. And the first thing you need to keep in mind is that almost all small business buyers, and I'm talking buyers, not prospects, people who actually buy, about 90% of them are first-time buyers. That means that most of them are uneducated about the buying process. They're uneducated about what it takes to run a business. But if you prepare and you understand the process, then you can lead somebody through the process to the closing of a sale. So you don't want to dismiss somebody who otherwise is a good prospect. They seem serious, they seem prepared, they've saved money, they ask you smart questions, but they've never owned a business before. That's not something you want to use to disqualify people, because in smaller businesses, most of them are first-time buyers. And secondly, and this to me is really the most surprising thing, most buyers, again, even the most qualified, they don't always know what kind of business they want when they're starting out. As often as not, when we sit down and work with a buyer, they set out to buy one type of business, and they will often wind up buying something completely different. Now, that might seem like a contradiction. The people who are the most serious and the most well-prepared, they don't know what type of business they want. But it's true. So this is the key takeaway. This is what distinguishes the buyer from the dreamer, and that is, it's the dream of owning a business. For the high-quality prospect, it's the dream of owning a business that drives them to make that dream a reality. It's the freedom. It's the chance to control their own destiny that is motivating them. And if they're motivated enough by that dream, they are going to go into their own business. So you don't want to dismiss someone just because they don't have experience in your field, and you certainly don't want to dismiss someone if you find out that they happen to be looking at other types of businesses besides yours. Because you're going to find out that that's common even among the most qualified, most motivated small buyers. So it's not that thing that separates them from the non-buyer. Because the good prospects, the people who have the guts and the determination to pull the trigger and put their money at risk and actually buy a business, it's the dream of owning that business, of having that independence and the control of their destiny. That's what's driving them. The specifics, the specific type of business, that comes later. Now, for the bad prospects, the ones that fall into the 90% category, all they think about is money. So it means that these two groups behave in completely different ways. And we're going to talk about that more in the next video. Ways that things you can observe in their attitude and their behavior that will tell you who's for real and who's a pretender. But for now, realize that for the 10% who buy, it's the dream of owning a business that is driving them. It's more important than the specific type of business. It's the freedom, it's the pride of ownership, the ability to express themselves and control their own destiny. These are the reasons that a buyer will come to you. These are the reasons people will take that leap of faith and actually sign on the dotted line and give you their money. Not that making money isn't important, but it's all of these other benefits that you can only get when you own a business. These are the things that are driving them. After all, if all somebody wants is money, they can stay in their present job. And that is exactly what 90% of the prospects wind up doing. They should be looking for a help wanted sign, not a business for sale sign. It's the people who are looking for the things that money can't buy that actually wind up buying a business. So don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that money isn't important. I'm saying being money motivated is not what separates the good prospect from the bad, because everybody wants money. Now in the next video, we'll go over more specific ways that you can tell the solid, real 10% from the more common 90% who are non-buyers. And we'll talk about ways that you can distinguish these two types of people quickly so that you don't waste your time with people who are never going to buy a business. And so you're free to invest all of your time and all of your energy with those few people who can buy. And we'll go into that in detail in the next video. So I'll see you then.